Hi, I'm Erica. Um, I started this channel because I think that there is a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of assumptions when it comes to what an addict looks like and what that means for us as far as being parents and really just a place for me to share what I've been through, what I go through on a daily basis. I've talked to some of my friends who are also mothers in recovery and, eventually want to add them, to say whatever they want to say, whether it's talk about makeup or fashion or motherhood or addiction or their recovery or whatever they might want to talk about. So I really just thought that this first initial video I would use for an introduction. Like, this is really just going to be an anything goes, whatever is on my mind or on their mind, kind of dump it all place. And so I think to start with, we'll just add a little bit about myself. Again, like I said, my name is Erica. For you who don't know, I am a single mother of 3 children, a 10-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old. I work full-time. I've went to rehab to the same place twice, at a place in South Carolina where we live, called Serenity Place, which is a really unique and different modern approach to a rehab facility where a mother and who's pregnant or has 1 or 2 children would go and stay for 90 days or so, and their children would come with them as long as they're under 6. There's services set aside for children during the day while the mothers take care of their rehab, go through what we called components. And our children go to a daycare where they really focus on putting the family dimension back together and getting these children who really may have missed out on a lot of milestones, or babies who were born addicted, or recently, or to mothers who are recently stopped using, and really just cater to that dynamic. And it's a really great place. It saved my life the first time. Was wonderful. I just wasn't ready. I can't put that blame on them and the fact that what they did was all right, and what I did was all right. I know now, looking back, that I had to have that first time. I had to learn from that first time to really sit down the second time that I relapsed a couple years later. And, what did I not do right? What was it that I didn't take care of that led me back out a second time? And what was really great is that when I reached out for that help and really made it known that I was ready to give it my all, they welcomed me with open arms. And as an addict, that is the biggest fear, is not being accepted or not being good enough. That first step of I need help, I'm not doing life right, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. Just that admission. And then to add being a mother on top of that, to admit that you recognize you're failing your children in some kind of way, that in itself is such a huge step. And there's so much fear behind that. So much fear. Am I going to be accepted? I'm the worst person ever. I'm the worst mom ever. I don't want anybody to know that I'm a bad mom. I don't want anybody to know that I'm using drugs. And to walk into that facility day one and everybody be the same kind of person you are, and everybody open you with welcome arms, there's power in that. There's so much power in that. And I'm glad to be a part of that program. I'm glad that I went through the second time. I really needed that kind of guiding push that second time to really get me where I am today. I've had jobs in the past. I've had jobs, but I always was the stay-at-home mom. I stayed home with my kids, and it it helped me to keep up that facade that everything was okay, and to do what I like to do, sit around and be lazy and really not have any responsibility, because really, like, that's what it comes down to. There was no responsibility there. So I've had jobs, I have, but I was always looking for the escape. How can I stop going to this job? I hate going to this job, calling out all the time. And what recovery has given me, more than not using drugs and more than my babies being home, is really that drive, that actual drive to want to do better, to want to have more, to want to wake up in the morning and enjoy the place that I go and the people that I go to work with, to enjoy at the end of the, every 2-week pay period, being able to take my babies out and do whatever we want. Like, I love that freedom. And I was always so tied up in being a wife or a girlfriend, and, that I never really learned who I was. And that program really helped me figure out who I was. And then through Serenity Place, I found Narcotics Anonymous. I never knew there was such a thing. I didn't know I was an addict. I thought what everybody thinks. I think that the addict is the junkie that's homeless on the side of the street, living out of a backpack, begging for money, stealing from you, etc., etc. And I didn't fit that description, so I wasn't an addict in my mind. And it's enlightening to learn that that's who you really are. It's enlightening. But once you come to terms with the fact that you are an addict, like, there is so much support available. And that's one thing. There's hundreds of things that I would never, ever trade, from the life that I have now to the life that I had before. There's hundreds of things. But one of the biggest things, is the help that I have. The people who are just on my side just because they are, people who don't want anything from me, who don't expect anything from me except for to every day get up, trying to do better than I did the day before. People who love my babies, no questions asked. In the world of active addiction, people don't like you for you. People don't want to be around you because of you. They want to be around you for what you can get them, what you can give them, and how they can use you. And these people in recovery, they're not like that. I have added so many people to my family over the last year that I've been clean. I'm a little over a year clean, and I've added so many people to my family that I can't do life without, that I am so blessed that they became a part of my life. And the first thing I remember learning was to share, to get it all out, right? To say what's on my mind, to feel what I'm feeling, that it's okay to ask for help. I remember that as the first thing. I remember sitting in my first meeting, withdrawing, feeling like such crap, like wanting to die. And all that I kept hearing in the back of my head was my counselor and my previous sponsor, pain shared is pain lessened. So when it came to the part of the meeting where they ask if anyone has a burning desire, do you have a burning desire to use drugs, to harm yourself, or to harm someone else? Share it. Get it on the floor and get some experience, strength, and hope. So I sat in that chair, and I remember my body just shaking and shivering from the shakes of withdrawal and wanting to puke. And I remember just sharing about how I hated everything. I hated everything. I can't believe I did this to myself again. Oh, woe is me. But I remember at the end of that, sitting through all of that pain and sitting in the suffering that I caused, the last thing out of my mouth was sharing that I was grateful, because I was grateful to be sitting in that seat sharing about how shitty I felt rather than possibly ODing. You know, I can remember right before I went to rehab, my 5-year-old, who at the time was like 3, 4-ish, she had turned 4, so she was 3, almost 4. I remember her asking me to get her a cup of milk in the middle of the day. And my little sister was home. I was staying in my mom's house. And I kept telling her, hold on, hold on, hold on, because I was in the middle of being high. Like, I was nodding out. I was high. And then my little sister, who was 16, 17, coming out, yelling, throwing a fit that she had to get my daughter milk, and I'm sitting right there, and yada, 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 whatever it is that she said. And I freaked out, because how dare you tell me that I wasn't doing the best job ever being a mother, you know, that how hard it was. I was going through a breakup with their dad, and I had a new baby, and, you know, all of that. And so I remember that. I remember pushing her out of the way. And then the next thing I remember is my arm getting locked in the handle of the door, and I passed out. So my arm was locked in the handle of the refrigerator, and I was on the ground, and they had called my mom home from work to come over me. And I remember her standing over top of me, patting me on the face, talking about crying, you're high again, you're high again. And I brushed it off and told her she was stupid, basically, and how dare her accuse me of using. I wasn't using. And mind you, I really didn't, that last relapse, thank God, I really didn't use for very long. I relapsed for a total of 2.5, maybe 3 months. And not that that is any better than, you know, 5 years. Like, it was a relapse. I acknowledge it as a relapse, and I acknowledge the destruction that it caused. And I just am thankful that I recognized the destruction before it got worse, and I potentially lost my babies, which previously, the first time I went 3 years prior, I did lose my girls to this DSS, to the state custody, and I'll share about that another time. But I really just want to kind of get on to the hope part of this, that if somebody happens to see this and they're struggling and they want to get help, there's help out there. You just really have to ask. But I remember my last high was I woke up with my mom standing over top of me, so sick that I'm vomiting. The vomit, like the cold vomit on my hot body, really is what woke me up. I was in the middle of an overdose. And as I woke up, I called for help the next morning. And I'm so glad that I did. I'm so glad that I did. So, again, like I said, I really just wanted this to be a message of hope, that there's a better way, that we can remember. Like, I can remember why I'm here today. I remember why I'm here today. I want to get my babies cups of milk. I want to change my baby's diapers. I want to watch my children grow. I want to tuck them into bed and read them stories and sing them songs goodnight. I don't want anybody else to do that. And so for me to be able to keep the gift of parenthood, I have to give myself the gift of recovery. And I'm okay with that. I have a job I've worked at for almost a year now that I love. I'm on my 2nd promotion there. Coming up here this next couple weeks, you know, my charges, every charge that I had during my active use is gone. You know, I have no charges over my head. I've been charged. I've never been convicted. Thank God. I mean, it's only by the grace of God that all the events that led me to today, like, I could be in such a different position, but because of the choices that I make, you know, and turning my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood him, and believing that there was a better way, and being willing and open-minded to a different way, those events have actually created, you know, this wonderful journey that I'm on now. And yes, there's ups and downs. Yes, there's bad days, but I wouldn't trade any of what I'm going through today. None of it, because I handle things differently today. Like if you knew me 5 years ago and the way or a year ago, 7 months ago, whatever, like I freaked out over everything. Something this big was, the end of the world and it was catastrophic. I'm a catastrophic thinker. And I can look at a situation and not get stuck in it today. That instead of getting stuck, I first thing I do is think of what can I do? What can I do to change this? What can I do to fix this? How do we get out of this situation? That I can do that, anybody can do that. If I can have a year clean, plus anybody can. So I guess I say all of that to just kind of wrap this up, and that's me. That's who I am. I'm thankful, grateful, blessed. I'm an addict in long-term recovery, a single mother, just working as hard as I can every day to keep moving forward, to never move backwards, to remember to count my blessings every single day. So if you want to count blessings with me, let's go, girl. We got it. Let's do it. Like, I know what it's about. I have friends, like I stated earlier, in recovery, single parents, parents with mothers with husbands. It doesn't matter. We're all still women. We're all still mothers. We're all still in recovery. And I think that the most beautiful thing about recovery is support and finding that support however you can. And if YouTube is the way that we support each other on this level, then I'm all for that. Let's grab it. Let's run with it. Not all of my posts may be about addiction and recovery. They might not. I don't know yet. I don't know where I want to take this. I think I'm just going to take this one day at a time, one video at a time, and whatever happens, happens. But if you have any questions or anything that you might want to ask as a loved one affected by addiction, I'd be happy to answer those. I do plan on at some point getting in a little deeper to like my personal story, what led me to addiction, what led me to stop, what led me back. So those days are coming. There's different things eventually that'll happen, but I just want to start with this. And I want to end again, like I did that meeting, with gratitude, with thankfulness that I came home from work today. I'm safe. My babies are safe. We have a beautiful house to call our own. And all of that is because of the work that I put in, the help that I asked for, my recovery, and of course, the hand of God. So I hope you guys have a blessed day. Stay blessed one day at a time.